In the year 1838, long before cave exploration became a science, before the word spelunker had even entered the American vocabulary, a young enslaved man named Stephen Bishop stepped into the unknown. His destination was Mammoth Cave, Kentucky, already known as the largest cave in America, yet still mostly a mystery. Stephen carried no modern gear. No ropes, no helmet light, no protective clothing. Just a flickering oil lamp, a cedar staff, and his own unshakable resolve. And that night, with darkness pressing in on every side, Stephen Bishop did what no man before him dared. He crossed into the very heart of the earth and rewrote the map of the underground world. Stephen Bishop was born around 1820, enslaved in Kentucky. By his late teens, he was brought to Mammoth Cave by his enslaver, Dr. John Croghan. The doctor had a vision. He wanted to turn the mysterious cavern into both a tourist attraction and a potential site for medical experiments. Croghan could not have known that Stephen Bishop, the man he forced into servitude, would become the cave's greatest explorer, someone whose name would outlast Croghan's own. At first, Stephen served as a guide for visitors who came from cities like Louisville and Lexington to see the underground marvel. Wealthy tourists were drawn by curiosity, hoping for a safe but exotic adventure. But guiding was only the beginning. Stephen wasn't content with following the known trails. He studied the stone walls, memorized twists and chambers, and listened to the echoes of hidden passageways. Something inside him burned, an explorer's instinct, irresistible and daring. Among all the legends whispered about Mammoth Cave, one obstacle stood above the rest, the bottomless pit. It was a massive chasm, blacker than night, that stopped explorers in their tracks. Guides warned visitors never to go near it. Many believed it truly had no bottom, that anyone who fell in would vanish forever. But Stephen Bishop looked at the pit and saw not an end, but a beginning. One night, with only his lamp, he cut a cedar sapling and dragged it to the edge. Laying it across the chasm, he fashioned a narrow bridge. Tourists wouldn't dare, but Stephen pressed forward. Step by step, plank creaking under his boots, he crossed into a world no man had ever seen. What he discovered stunned him. Beyond the bottomless pit lay vast chambers, winding tunnels, and glittering mineral formations that stretched into eternity. Mammoth Cave wasn't just a curiosity, it was a labyrinth without equal. That crossing turned Stephen Bishop into a legend. Within a single year, Bishop's discoveries transformed the world's knowledge of Mammoth Cave. From memory alone, he charted 10 miles of passageways, half of them entirely new. His maps were so precise that later cartographers found them accurate for decades. He gave poetic names to the chambers he uncovered: Gothic Avenue, Fat Man's Misery, Bottomless Pit, River Hall. These names endure to this day, stamped into the language of cave exploration. But Stephen didn't stop with walls and passages. He recorded the lifeforms of the cave, the eyeless fish, the pale crawdads, the bats that clung like black drapery to the ceilings. He became, unknowingly, one of the first naturalists of the underground world. And through his eyes, Mammoth Cave shifted in identity, from a Kentucky curiosity into the longest cave system on Earth. Stephen Bishop's story is more than the tale of a cave explorer. It's the story of a man who, even in bondage, found a way to leave his mark on the world. He ventured where no one else dared. He mapped not just stone corridors, but a path for human imagination. And in doing so, he carved his name alongside the underground rivers and cathedral-like halls that still echo his footsteps. Today, Mammoth Cave is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and the longest cave system known on Earth, over 400 miles of mapped passageways. But every journey into its depths still begins with Stephen Bishop, the man who saw past the darkness and revealed a new world beneath our feet. Though enslaved, Stephen Bishop's reputation reached far beyond his station. Visitors from around the globe journeyed to Mammoth Cave not just to see the formations, but to walk the underground with Stephen as their guide. He was more than a leader of tours. He was a gifted storyteller. With humor, with drama, with a performer's instinct, he made the cave come alive. Wealthy travelers later wrote of him in diaries and letters, marveling at his knowledge and charisma. One English traveler wrote that Bishop's guiding was as vital to the cave's legend as the chambers themselves. It was an irony of history. A man bound by chains above ground was celebrated as a master beneath it. By the 1840s and 1850s, Stephen Bishop had become synonymous with Mammoth Cave. His map, drawn in 1842, was published in travel guides and distributed across the United States and Europe. For decades, it remained the definitive chart of the world below. Yet despite his fame, Stephen remained enslaved for most of his life. It wasn't until the 1850s that he was freed. Tragically, his freedom was short-lived. He died in 1857, at the age of just 37, and was buried near the cave he had made immortal. But his work lived on. His map guided generations of explorers. His names for the chambers and trails remain in use today. And his daring crossing of the bottomless pit became one of the founding stories of American exploration.